change, alter, vary, modify mean to make or become different. Change implies making either an essential difference, often amounting to a loss of original identity, or a substitution of one thing for another. That is the general meaning of change. How about change in the organization? This is Joshua Escalderon and Joshua Paracueles, presenter for the topic, An Overview of Change, a Human Behavior in Organization, Reporting, Presentation. Again, we are the presenter for this topic. Change. Change itself is the movement from the old ways of doing things to a new way. Change may entail installing new equipments, restructuring the organization, or implementing a new performance appraisal system, or anything that alters existing relationship or activities. The pressure for change appears most powerful that involves people, technology, communication, and competition. People. People depend on the demand for training, benefits, workplace, arrangement, and compensation systems. Technology. The rate of technological change is also increasing. More education and training for workers at all levels. More new products, then products move faster to the market. Speed. Faster reaction time, immediate response to questions, new products, different office arrangement, telecommunication, marketing, advertising, recruiting on social networking sites. Competition. As we know, in global competition, it is more competitive and products with more features and options are being shown, with lower cost but with higher quality. To dig deeper and further understand change, here's Kurt Lewin. He was a German-American psychologist known as one of the modern pioneers of social, organizational, and applied psychology in the United States. He suggested the Kurt Lewin model of change, which consists of 3 stages, which are the unfreezing, change, and refreezing. Here shown the Lewin's process of organizational structure. First stage, which is the unfreeze. This stage is about getting ready to change. It involves getting to a point of understanding the change is necessary and getting ready to move away from our current comfort zone. The first stage is about preparing ourselves or others before the change, and ideally creating a situation in which we want to change. The second stage, which is change. Transition is the inner movement or journey that we make in reaction to change. This second stage occurs as we make the change that are needed. People are unfrozen and move towards a new way of being. That said, this stage is often the hardest as people are unsure or even fearful. Third stage, which is refreeze. As the name suggests, this stage is about establishing stability. Once the change have been made, the change are accepted and become the new norm. People form new relationship and become comfortable with their routines. This can take time. It is often at this point that people laugh and tell me that practically there is never time for this freezing stage. It is just that it is drawn from the criticism to the Kurt Lewin's model of change. The process of change entails a perception that change is needed, then moving to a new behavior and solidifying that new behavior into a norm. To get a deeper grasp of understanding, Kurt Lewin's made the continuous change process model. It is a more complex and refined model than the Kurt Lewin's model of change. This model equally covers Lewin's concept of change during the implementation stage. The continuous change process model has corporate forces, a problem-solving process, a change agent, a transition management. We should always be reminded that, although we discuss each step as if they were separated and distinct, it is important to note that change becomes continuous in an organization. Different steps are probably occurring simultaneously throughout the organization. Here shown the continuous change process model, starting with forces for change, define the problem, problem solving, change agent, measure, evaluate, and control, implement the change, and transition management. Forces for change. In this approach, top management perceives the certain forces or trends call for change, and the issue is subjected to the organization's usual process of solving problem and decision-making process. Change agent. Early in this process, the organization may seek the assistance of a change agent, a person who will be responsible for managing the change effort. Under the direction and management of the change agent, the organization implements the change through Lewin's unfreeze, change, and refreeze process. Here are the three concepts for implementing change. Collaborator. The change agent becomes a collaborator or a helper to the organization as she or he is immersed in defining and solving the problem with the members of the organization. Second, challenge. Change often arises from the conflict that results when the change agent challenges the organization's assumption and generally accepted patterns of the operation. Third is evaluation. Through the measurement, evaluation, and control phase, management determines the effectiveness of the change process by evaluating various indicators of organizational productivity and the effectiveness of the employees' morals. Transition management. Transition management is a process of systematically planning, organizing, and implementing change from the disassembly of the current state of the realization of a fully functional future state with an organization. Transition management carries two concepts. Planning. No matter how much planning precedes the change and how well it is implemented, because people are involved, there will be anticipated and unpredictable things that can happen along the way. Continuous. The transition management also ensures that the business is continuous while the change is occurring. Therefore, must begin before the change occurs. Organization development, or OD, is planned organizational strategies, structures, and processes for improving effectiveness. For organizational development, there are 3 points that should be taken into consideration and be remembered for its use. Here shown are the 3 concepts for organizational development. First is change. Organizational development involves attempt to plan organizational changes, which excludes spontaneous haphazards initiatively. Second is effectiveness. The specific intention of the organization's development is to improve the organization's effectiveness. And lastly, the improvement. The planned improvement must be based on knowledge of the behavioral sciences, such as the organizational behavior, psychology, sociology, social anthropology, and also the related fields of studies. Take note that organizational development was initially treated as a field of study and practiced by specially trained OD professionals. We also need to remember that organizational development is based on a systematic change process, and it is focused on managing the culture of the organization. Here shown are the 2 types of organizational development. First is structural. The most comprehensive type of organizational change involves a major reorientation or reorganization, usually referred to as a structural change or a system-wide rearrangement of task division and authority and reporting their relationship. Next is quality of work-life program. Quality of work-life program focus strongly on providing work environment conducive to satisfying the individual needs. A commonly held view is that all resistance to change needs to be overcome, but that's not always the case. Here shown the sources of resistance: overdetermination, narrow focus of change, group inertia, threatened expertise, threatened power, and change in resource allocation. Overdetermination. Such a system is said to be characterized by overdetermination or structural inertia, and that one could probably have the same effect on employees' performance with fewer procedures and safeguards. Narrow focus of change. Many efforts to create change and organization adapt to a narrow focus. Group inertia. When an employee attempts to change his or her work behavior, the group may resist by refusing to change other behaviors that are necessary complements to the individual's altered behavior. Threatened expertise. A change in the organization may threaten the specialized expertise that individual and group have developed over the years. As we know, developing strategies and specialized expertise takes time. Therefore, it will cause mismanagement of time, which can greatly affect the performance of an organization. Threatened power. Any redistribution of decision-making authority, such as with re-engineering or team-based management, may threaten an individual's power relationship with each other. We are aware that relationship in the workplace is much needed for the optimal problem solving and decision making for the benefit of the organization. And if the relationship of the people in the organization will be tarnished, then there will be no harmony and unity in the workplace. Resource allocation. Groups that are satisfied with current resource allocation methods may resist any change because they believe it will threaten future allocation. If we are used to performing our old methods, then shifting to a bigger and complex one, we can say that it can cause conflict and it will arise. However, if we are too dependent with our comfort zone, we will have a harder time of being flexible and allocating resources, because as we grow, we make connection. Therefore, resources is located at a bigger and wider picture. Those mentioned before are the resistance. These 6 sources explain most types of organizational-based resistance to change. It will be thoroughly discussed by the next reporter. That concludes the topic for Overview for Change. The next reporter will thoroughly discuss the resistance for change. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed and learned a lot.